Edition of the weekly narrative. It's been a while. How's it going, Delaney?
It's been going awesome. How are you today, Jeremy?
Doing well, doing well. A little, I'm well rested. I got plenty of time to look at topics. What's going on out there in the world, as far as news. And you know what? Summers are slow, and we're having to deal with that here at the weekly narrative because we do try to offer commentary on news. But when there's not much
Hmm.
news, we got to dig a little deeper. And that's exactly what I did. What's going on, Doug? We got Doug in the chat. King Xenomorph. Welcome, guys. Grab a drink, grab a seat, get comfortable.
Yep.
As
The only news I've seen, the only news I've seen is like how people don't want to celebrate the 4th of July to celebrate all the genocide that has happened over the last, 200 years from America. But
Of course.
that's it.
Oh yes, we've got. Oh, feedback in the audio. Feedback in the audio. We got feedback in the audio. He said. Checking, checking. You sure, Doug? You sure it's not just you? Checking, checking. I don't know. I think we're okay. We'll
Yeah.
continue. Let us know, guys,
I
how
was
the
gonna say
audio
you
is.
sound fine. You sound fine to me, but
There's always something. Susan's playing
hmm
with the audio. You never know. But
yep.
with that said, as everyone's joining, let's get into the topics of the night. We got a lot of cyber heavy stuff going on. Cyber stuff is hot right now. And we're going to be talking about COVID. COVID deaths are disappearing again,
Oh,
shockingly,
who would have
or
thought?
or unshockingly. Not
Hmm.
Yeah, more California counties are reducing their COVID death counts. They're disappearing like hotcakes. And we're going to be getting into some news about infrastructure crumbling with some videos, shocking videos from New York, and some other quick stories to warm us up for the night. So, that being said, I already heard a story or comment come in. Let's get right into it. All right. Bear with me, folks, as you're joining. Let me just double check a couple mic things here. Stereo mic. Must be the alcohol. Oh my god, Doug said he had two tabs open. Good job, buddy. Well done. All right, let's go to this stereo comment real quick to warm up, and then we'll jump into our stories for the night. Who do we got? Who do we got? We got Jamal. Never know.
What's the point of not celebrating 4th of July? That's some bullshit. What are you gonna do? We're victorious.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
British or whatever, the white man came over here and just crushed everybody. It's okay, they won. That's the reality. That's just the way it is.
Wait, what?
Winners win. Losers lose. That's how the whole world works.
Thank you, Jamal, for saying that because I felt the same way. I saw a bunch of, my friends like just be talking all kinds of smack about, 4th of July. And I'm like, you do realize what this holiday is about. It's not about, genociding people. It's about celebrating our independence from the actual
Wait, let me
colonizers.
replay his comment here. I don't know if he's for or against this. I couldn't tell. Never know.
What's the point of not celebrating 4th of July? That's some bullshit.
What's the point of not celebrating? Okay, yes. Then I agree with you. That's. I thought he was saying, what's the point of celebrating 4th of July? I was like, oh, one of these guys. Okay, but yeah, no.
Mm.
This guy, he realizes, he understands reality, and reality is, a lot of conquering happens, and sometimes that's part of the history of the country, and this becomes, the story of how the country is created.
Yep. Yeah,
Uh,
it's just this people just feel bad for the natives, which it's fine. You could feel bad for them, but if we were still a colony of Britain, who knows what really would have happened even worse to the natives. So,
Oh yeah, no, we don't. I mean, yeah, all the Fourth of July stuff is the dumbest ever. It's really, And actually, you know what? I've got a perfect video to show you guys. We'll just jump into some of the stories that I've got. Not stories, but just some of the things around the internet that I collect that I want to show you guys. And one of those is something I saw on Twitter. This was a video taken from a security camera of someone's house. Because, you know, they have cameras that just kind of monitor outside your house. This is a little child and his mother, presumably, driving by on their bikes. They see an American flag in the ground. Let me see if I can zoom in on this a little bit. And, well, I'll just let the video speak for itself. Kid on a scooter stops and grabs the American flag sticking out of the ground. The mom stops and watches in approval as he
doesn't tell him to stop it.
Rips the flag out, and then he throws it on the ground, and then they just continue on with their merry trip down the neighborhood. Now, this neighborhood does look nice, so it's not. They're also not black. This is a white kid with a white mom, no dad in the video, coincidentally. But just an interesting, you know, potentially relevant fact.
Yeah, I saw that. I saw that earlier, and all I could think was, if that was my mom and I was that kid, my mom would tell me to put that back because that's not mine. It doesn't belong to me. Like,
well, the point.
You can't just take people's property like that just because you don't like it. It's stupid.
The point is, the mom is probably the one who taught that kid how to do that, and we're seeing a lot of this now. That mom probably went to college, got a degree in some kind of liberal arts, where she got taught to do zero things productive for society, but she did learn how to help destroy society, and that's one of the things that, you know, colleges are indoctrinating people to do these days. So that is a successful outcome of our education system today, and that's what we're seeing with the 4th of July stuff. All the people with the reactions of 4th of July is, oh my God, why would you ever celebrate colonized genocide, all this, you know, all the buzzwords, but, you know, nobody wants to acknowledge the fact that America was 99% empty when we came here, and we just happened to actually do something with it. How long were the natives here before we got here, and why didn't they turn any cities or create technology or do anything? Ever asked yourself that question?
I do, but then I get called racist, so.
Well, yeah, and also they never want to talk about the Mayans and the Incans, how they were, you know, doing human sacrifice, eating flesh, sacrificing kids, ripping hearts out, all that kind of fun stuff. We don't want to talk about that because it kind of makes Christopher Columbus look like a nice guy in comparison.
A saint, yeah. Well, they didn't want to acknowledge the fact that Native Americans were fighting each other. They were invading each other's lands
constantly,
and killing each other and kidnapping the women and children and raping them and pillaging themselves. They don't want to acknowledge that. They just want to believe that natives were peaceful and loving and all about nature.
Yep. Taking slaves as well.
Well, I mean, I will acknowledge that they are all about nature because nature is innately dangerous. So yeah, they're all natural.
Absolutely, yeah. All right, that was a nice warm up. Thank you for that comment, sir. What's up? We got PJ Fan in the chat. Anthony Splittin' Loudenboomer is back. One of the best names that we've seen.
Oh my goodness, what's up, Splittin' Loudenboomer?
We did miss you. It's good. It's glad to see you make an appearance here again. Luke, what's up, Luke? He says, elbow to the face. Good parenting demands it.
Right.
Looks like CCP propaganda, or it's real, and she's a school teacher. There you go. That's what it is. She's probably a school teacher.
I'd say I was going to say she probably is a school teacher. She looks like one. Or, I mean, she's probably been homeschooling her. She's probably been homeschooling her kid for the last, year because of COVID, and just kind of takes it upon herself to teach her child these terrible, terrible things.
That's right. Yep. Okay. PJ Fan says, I hope you plan on mentioning the San Francisco NAMBLA choir. I don't know what you're talking about there, but if you want.
Oh, you don't know what he's talking about? Here,
no.
I'll
Is it
I'll
the
find it for
the
you.
gay guys who were talking about coming for your kids?
Yeah, coming for your kids.
Okay. I didn't know that was the NAMBLA choir, but
No, they're not NAMBLA. They're the San Francisco Men's Tabernacle Choir, and they call them NAMBLA choir because there's a few guys in that choir that are convicted and registered sex offenders that have records with pedophilia. So they're like fun. Unofficial members of NAMBLA, I would say.
NAMBLA, yes, North American Boy Love Association. Okay, yeah, I was thinking of a different acronym, but you know what? While I'm covering this first story here, give me a link to that, and then we'll talk about it.
Okay.
Let's start off by going to California, get a quick update on how California's doing, because a lot of stuff's going down in California. I want to make sure everyone's aware of the situation there. Currently, there is a power grid failure because they had some lines that were burned down from Oregon. So they were getting power, supplementary power from Oregon, and those lines burned down to the ground, which is a... I guess there's only one line, and it burned down. So California's grid operator issued a plea for Californians to conserve energy usage Saturday after a fire in southern Oregon tripped interstate transmission lines, siphoning a, quote, significant amount of power needed as California endured the strongest heat wave of the summer. This is from the Sacramento Bee, my previous hometown local newspaper.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess this could be classified as part of our infrastructure crumbling segment, because one power line gets taken out by fire, and then guess what? The entire state has to be cautious about their energy usage because they're one step away from rolling blackouts. Now, that power line is apparently responsible for 4,000 megawatts of power. And it does beg the question, why can't California generate enough of its own power? That's a question that has yet to be answered. Officials have asked all residents of the state to reduce power consumption through 9 p.m., warning that electricity supplies are being strained to a degree rarely seen. And they're undergoing triple-digit temperatures this weekend, so you can imagine everyone's blasting the AC. So you've got fires. The air is barely breathable. I don't know if it's that bad, but I'm remembering back to those several months last year when you couldn't even escape the smell because it'd seep into your home through your air conditioning system and whatever building you're in. It always smelled like burning feces, and you can't even escape the hot, stinky air by going to some AC because there's no power. That is modern California for you right there, in a nutshell.
Mm-hmm.
If I was gay, I'd
Yep.
pass that like they're drawing negative. Oh yes, yeah. So back to the choir thing. Did you send me a link to that?
Yeah, I'm putting it in the document right now.
You could put it in the document or put it in StreamYard. That would also work.
Okay, I'll do it in StreamYard. Here we go.
So, for those who aren't aware, what was it? A church? Was it a religious group of gay guys?
I think it says it's the San Francisco Gay Men's Chorus. So it's just
Just a bunch
it's
of gay
just an
dudes
ensemble.
like sing.
Yes, a bunch of gay dudes that get together and sing songs about converting your kids.
Yeah, they came out, they made a song that got a lot of backlash, unsurprisingly, where they basically came out and said directly that they're coming for your children and that they are going to indoctrinate your children into becoming more friendly and all this kind of, buzzword type stuff. So let's take a look at that video if it hasn't been taken down yet.
No, it's not taken down yet.
I think they actually did take it down, but people are reposting it because they got obviously a lot of backlash. But it also points to the pattern of where they come out and they say really ridiculous stuff like this, like we're coming for your kids specifically, and then like, oh, but why is everybody mad at us now? We only said we're coming for your kids. So
Right.
they get to play the victim after they come
Right.
out and say that the really heinous stuff. Is the link in Google?
I honestly, it's in the StreamYards. It's in the private StreamYards chat.
Okay.
No, I honestly, just as a person that's I'm the lesbian or whatever, I look at this and I'm just like disgusted because back when, the gays and lesbians and everybody were fighting for marriage equality, one of the things that the conservatives and like the alt-right were, pushing back on was this propaganda is going to hurt our children because you guys are going to try to target our children. And all the gays and lesbians at the time were like, no, we're not coming for the kids. Like, this is all just about marriage equality. And now here we are, like, almost a decade later, and here's a San Francisco men's choir saying, yeah, we're going to come for your kids. Here we go. It's like, guys just took a 180 with that.
Oh, man. Yeah, nope. The people who, I think everyone who cried about the slippery slope, guys like Scott Adams who say the slippery slope doesn't actually exist, I think it's time. I think it's time. So let's show you a little clip of this video. I'm not going to show you the whole thing because it's unbearable to watch for the most part. But
Yeah, it is.
you'll get the gist of it. Believe me.
Pride on the progress we've made over these past years, there's still work to be done. So to those of you out there who are still working against equal rights, we have a message for you.
You think we're sinful? You fight against our rights. You say we all lead lives you can't respect.
Nobody says that.
But you're just frightened. You think that we'll corrupt your kids if our agenda goes unchecked. Funny, just this once, you're correct. We'll convert your children. Happens bit by bit, quietly and
then when you look
subtly,
at this
and
guy
you
in the
will barely
intro,
notice it.
he literally looks possessed. Like
Oh,
his
yeah.
eyeballs are wide.
No,
He
there's
he looks
definitely-
like he is possessed by some kind of demonic force while saying
There's-
this. Like
there's-
he's like,
some demons behind those eyes for sure.
dude, yeah. Like he's oh my god.
I mean, just look at this freeze frame.
Like-
The guy. So here's the thing with this. I know Milo. Actually, I want to talk about Milo too. Milo's had some stuff been going on a lot lately. Man, this show is going down the gay derail real quick. But anyway, Milo talked about this and how this guy, he obviously has some insane trauma in his past, which a lot of them do. Most of them do. Most like 90 to 95% of all the gay people have some insane trauma in their past that they're really trying to do. And this is what happens with the trauma when it goes untreated. They end up trying to spread that pain and suffering to other people. Now, you heard him say specifically, funny, now this time you're actually correct, we're coming for your kids, and we're going to slowly convert them, and we're going to teach them how to be tolerant and all this kind of stuff. But it's all couched under the idea, the guise of being tolerant and nice and equitable, right? It's all about equality and being nice and all that kind of stuff. So, but of course, how can you argue against that?
Yeah, well, like I said at the beginning, when the gay rights movement started, it started under the umbrella of, we just want to not have our ass beat and go out in public and not get our ass beat for, holding our hands with our, person, our significant other. And we also want to be able to possibly have some kind of form of marriage. So that way, for people that have been together for 20 plus years, they have some kind of legal protection. And now here are these guys coming in and just saying we need even more. We need to convert our children to believe that this is normal when this is not normal. This is not a normal thing to try to do to our children to convince is normal and right. It's not. It started off as something pure and it just turned ugly really quick.
That's exactly why you have to get them when they're children, because it is not normal. If they were grown into adults in an objective world where they didn't have any external influences, they would get to an adulthood and then they would look at this guy, they would see his body language is really strange. Obviously, he's got dead eyes. He seems like he's upset about something. You can tell these things very easily. If you're a well-adjusted person, you can read these. And someone in chat said, what's with his head movements? That's how this stuff manifests, man. This mental illness really comes through in many ways that he's not aware of. But you have to get him as kids so that they don't have the ability to grow and learn how to identify that stuff first. Because then they're vulnerable, they don't know what they're doing, and that's how you have to get them. You can't wait. If you're this guy, you can't wait until they're adults. You have to get them when they're kids because it's the only way.
Yep. Yeah, easier to convince them that wrong is right and right is wrong when they're little and they're susceptible and they don't know any better.
Indeed, and let's play. I jumped a little bit forward in the clip. Let me play a little bit more as the second guy comes on. I'm sure you guys will be delighted to see the second face.
Oh yeah, more demon eyes. Hell yeah.
We'll convert your children, yes we will. Reaching one and all, there's really no escaping it. 'Cause even grandma likes RuPaul. And the world's getting kinder. Gen Z's gayer than Grindr. Learn to love, learn to vogue, face your face.
It sucks too, is they're not really that bad at
Convert
singers.
your children.
That's really the name of the song is "Will Convert Your Children." So
They're really good singers. It's why do you guys got to be such good singers and put up such garbage, man?
yeah, well, this is. Let's see. Well, David Pollock says, "Thanks for putting the truth out." You're welcome, sir. We're trying. And this is what happens when mental illness becomes currency. This is what happens when mental illness becomes currency. Mental illness becomes something not to be treated, but to be harvested like a crop, where you grow it, cultivate it, and then you spread it. This is what the result of that is. This is a society that has incentivized mental illness, and this is the inevitable result of that. So am I shocked that they're coming out and say this? Not in the slightest. Not even
No,
the
me neither.
slightest shocked. We all knew it all along, but now it's get to the point to where it's incentivized so much, they actually get credit. A lot of credit, not 100% credit. It's not all positive. Obviously, they're getting backlash, but they get a lot of attention and credit for coming out and saying this. It's also no coincidence that it's coming out of San Francisco, the hotbed, the tumor on America, that is the gay capital of the world, probably. Would you say that? Is that accurate? Gay capital of the world?
Yeah, I would say that. Yeah, definitely. I mean, like, I'm in Sacramento still, and it's pretty gay over here too. But I'd say San Francisco beats us out pretty bad. Like San Francisco is just like the hotbed for degeneracy all around. Like, not even just gay stuff, just all kinds of degeneracy.
That's right. Yeah.
You got hobos pooping on the street. You got sex clubs around almost every corner. And then you go down the street and there's, like, big skyscrapers that house thousands of people for financial, companies or whatever. So it's weird. It's a weird. San Francisco's a weird place.
Yeah, no, it's like Twilight Zone. Doug Masters had a great idea in chat. He said all they need to do is capture all the methane gas from the poop on the streets, and then bingo, there's your green energy. Probably some merit to that idea.
The cows here in California.
Some merit to that idea. All right, let's get to stereo chats. We got Jamal and Antonio.
Yes, just the way the world is. Sometimes people just conquer. The whole world is a bunch of conquerors. We just live in this time and age where, Europe just took over with colonization everywhere, and, they're just ruling right now. At one point, maybe they'll fall. Maybe China will take over.
China's going to.
So we might not be around during that time. Egypt, that time, that civilization, that lasted many years, thousands of years. So it's no point of complaining. Just live your life, man. So annoying.
Exactly, Jamal. Exactly.
Very annoying. And I think people they get stuck in the mindset that he brings up a good point, that civilizations will fall no matter how good they really were. Egypt, for example, obviously they were mighty, but where are they now? They're living in mud huts and they're farming off of the river in sustenance farming, because they have fallen from grace, as probably we are on our way down as well because of stuff like this gate. I mean, they're coming for the kids, guys. You don't last very long after the degeneracy becomes normalized. There's a comment from Antonio. Okay, I don't know what that is.
Yeah, I don't know what that is either.
Probably a song that has a good reference to what we're talking about here, but unfortunately I'm not familiar with it. Let's go to... Oh, have you seen what's going on with Milo Yiannopoulos, by the way? Does anybody in chat has been paying attention to Milo lately? This is directly related to the gay stuff.
Didn't he say he's not gay anymore?
Yes, he did. And that's... I think it's... At first I thought it was ridiculous. But... I actually think that he's genuine about it, because I've been watching some more of his content. He's been putting some more content out lately, and he's been doing coverage for True News. But for those who don't know, Milo Yiannopoulos is a personality, internet personality, I guess that's the best way to put it, who was popular during the Trump election era.
Yeah, and he got banned off of Twitter, didn't he?
Got banned off of basically everywhere because he's offensive. He had a bus. He toured across America to colleges with a bus that said, what did it say? Something faggot. It had faggot written on the bus in giant paint because he called himself a faggot. He's totally cool with that. But he's a very offensive guy, and he got banned off of everything. He was super gay. He kind of flaunted his gayness, but he always had this weird Christianity, Catholicism stuff in his past. And it seems like he has made a return to Christianity and revoked his gayness. Said he's not gay anymore, and apparently broke up with his husband. He threw his like $200,000 diamond wedding ring or engagement ring in the ocean, and he's going full in. So I think, I don't know what more you could ask for a guy to kind of turn around from that degeneracy.
Yep. I mean, good for him. At least he got out.
But he's starting a new club where he's going to try to deconvert other gay people, and I think it's not good for the gay community because it's going to demonstrate the fact that they don't have to. And I can't really, obviously you're a lesbian, so I can't speak for you, but they can choose to not behave in particular ways. That's not. He came out and said specifically, being gay and being degenerate wasn't in line with the values that I was trying to sell. So he decided to become coherent all around and overcome his inherent urges by choosing to behave a certain way. And obviously, guys like this, the rest of the gay community, they don't have that willpower. They don't have the discipline to be able to choose to act a certain way. They just have to. They're totally controlled by their trauma and their mental illness. So applauding it, Milo.
Yeah, I applaud him for that, and I wonder if he's gonna like start dating women, or if he's just gonna be like celibate and just kind of do the route. Because I was raised a Jehovah's Witness, and there were gay people in our congregation, but the thing is, they wouldn't act on it. They were gay.
Yeah.
They were attracted to men or women, but they just would never act on it. You would never see them with a person of the same sex. So I wonder if that's kind of the approach he's taking. Is I'm just going to be strong and not act on my urges to, be with somebody of the same sex, or if he's actually going to go full like straight and, date women and be with women. I wonder what he's going to do. It's interesting.
Yeah, Milo should start with the NAMBLA choir. Yeah, well, let's see. See if he'll get in touch with the NAMBLA choir and try to convert some of these guys. Maybe in a couple of years, you'll see this guy, this empty-eyed, soulless guy, come back and say, "I was so wrong." But that's...
Yeah, I should have never gone after the kids.
Yep. Going after the kids was a mistake. All right, so that's our gay segment that happened to pop up out of nowhere that we were not going to cover. But,
right?
We did. Sometimes that's just how these things go. Let's jump to stereo for the comment from Vlad, the War God, and then we'll jump into our next story.
Well, okay. I think what Milo, and by the way, before I get started, good evening to the panel. I hope that all of you are doing well. I hope you're having a blessed night.
Sounds like he's driving an 18-wheeler.
I would have to say that Milo Yiannopoulos is, I think he figured out what a lot of people are starting to figure out, that it's not scientifically true that people are born gay. And I'm not trying to make this political or anything like that, but what I am saying is, I have a PDF that I'm absolutely happy to send to any of you. DM me on my Instagram. It is the Homosexual Manifesto, written by Michael Swift in 1987. I'll gladly send it to you, and it describes what one could only discern as the gay agenda. But I think that Milo Yiannopoulos has broken away from that.
I think he has too. I think that's what his main. That's why I ask. I'm like, I wonder if he's actually going to like go full straight, or if he's just not going to be a part of the gay agenda anymore.
The biggest part of it is realizing that being gay, all this LGBT stuff, and I like what he's doing because it's really a crack in the LGBT bullshit that's going around, is that it's all based off of mental illness, because he admits that he was gay because of what happened to him when he was a child. He was molested or abused or whatever it is, and nobody wants to talk about that. They all say, "Oh, I was born this way." No, you weren't. And in 98%
there's no gay gene. There's no,
right.
It's mostly like I was never like I'm one of the few gays that I'm not gay because of molestation or anything like that. It's just I don't know. Sexuality was never a part of my daily life as a child. It wasn't until I became an adult I was like, oh, okay, men are not my thing. They're not my cup of tea, but I do appreciate them. I don't hate them, but just for me, I was a little bit of a late bloomer when it came to all that stuff. So I don't know. It's just, to me, the whole idea of born gay is stupid. It's like, no, nobody's born gay. Like, there are children who are more inclined, I guess, towards it. Because, you always meet, like, little boys that are a little bit more flamboyant and stuff like that. But can overcome that at any point in your life if you really try.
It's really a kind of a small summarization of modern life in general, and that everyone is really just giving in to their urges. Nobody thinks twice about the urges that they feel. They don't try to control themselves in any way. They just give in, and whatever they feel like doing is what they do, regardless of whether it has any coherency with their actual life goals or anything like that. And Milo was one of the guys who said, you know what, this isn't consistent with my life goals, so I'm not going to do this anymore. And
that's why props to Milo. Good job, buddy. Get off the gay plantation.
King Xenomorph says Milo was advertising sunglasses. The Pit Vipers, yes, they are. They're very nice.
Yeah.
They're very cool.
He's got like a mullet and stuff now too, dude.
Yeah, I don't know what he's doing with his hair, but for everything else, it seems to be okay. Let's see. Oh, great point. Yeah, Doug says if you're born gay, then why does NAMBLA Acquire need to go after your kids and convert them? Ooh. Well, see, that's something that these guys have never considered, because that requires critical thinking. All right, let's go from the degenerate swamps of San Francisco to the degenerate swamps of New York. This is so good.
Yes.
Oh man, I laughed out loud when I saw this. I don't know why this isn't being covered in the news more. Maybe it is. I don't even watch news. I don't know how I could really say that honestly. But this is New York subway, and what you're looking at is people stumbling through what appears to be about 3 foot deep water. And you can actually see the reflection of the subway train moving in the background off the reflection of the water.
How does that even happen?
That's exactly why we're talking about it, because the question is, how does this even happen? And of course, we could assign blame into the most logical places, like the mayor, who's probably in charge of allocating funding to maintaining things like critical infrastructure, such as the subways, which is, in New York is literally critical infrastructure. People can't get around or operate. The city will not operate without infrastructure. So we're seeing people try to wear trash bags to wade through the water. Some people are wearing trash bags over their upper body while going. This guy is doing a potato sack method where he's putting a trash bag on his feet and he's going to try to go in the water. But then, oh no, he immediately slips and it fails right away and he gets completely drenched. Sorry, bud. You might want to look at moving. If you have to go through water like that to get to work, it would make me second guess living in that city. I don't know. What do you think?
Oh, I would second guess living in that city too, especially since the lady who's posting these videos has hashtag tax the rich in her freaking name.
That's true. Yeah, I didn't even notice that. And she's a writer too, so she's mentally ill, probably leftist. So, and even she is complaining about the situation right now, where she's tagging Bill de Blasio in the tweets and saying, "Do something. This is some subway system you got here." But anyway, I thought this was hilarious, and think about it.
I really want to know how it backed up that bad.
Well, they had a storm system come through, and they weren't prepared. They had like that's tropical storm system came up from the Atlantic, and this was the result, I guess. It wasn't anything. So it wasn't like a hurricane.
They don't. Yeah, so I guess the storm drain systems that they all had just failed them, or they just didn't put any like sandbags up. Wow, New York sucks. Don't ever move to New York, folks.
In general, hey, look, your infrastructure is terrible story, because I don't think the subways are supposed to do that. I'm just saying.
Nope, that's definitely not. Like, it's an underground rail system. You'd think that water would like have some way of escaping if water does get down there, but
you would think.
I guess not.
You would think, but this is a liberal, leftist-run city. I hate to use the word liberal. It doesn't really mean anything. It's a leftist-run city
leftist.
Where they have failed in every way. But hey, you know what? They did defund the police in New York for a while, at least. They priorities. You got to get the priorities right, And their shootings have gone up by like 90% since last year. But hey, you got to make sure to cover what actually counts. Just kidding. That doesn't matter. Your infrastructure should be priority number 1, maybe 2 at the least. You can go in that water as long as you're wearing your face diaper, says PJ Fan.
Yeah. You'll be safe from COVID if you wear the face diaper.
You'll be safe from the sewage. The raw sewage is likely circulating in that water if you wear your face diaper. God, that is just... So San Francisco, California, and New York they're all kind of burning down or being flooded out due to terrible infrastructure, terrible management. It's not hard to see. It's not like I had to dig for these stories. This is just stuff that's happening on a weekly basis now. Burning down power lines, power surges, floods, you name it. Businesses closing. And, just helps strengthen the argument that you should leave these cities. Let's go to, let's do another follow-up from Vlad, who's in the 18-wheeler. Let's see what he's got to say.
Yeah.
I know what Doug is talking about. There is a clip, it's a musical done by an entirely gay choir, one of which is actually a convicted child molester.
Yep, we just got done covering that one. Yes.
Sorry, Vlad.
No, appreciate that. No, he did. He came in a little late, but we just covered that story. Just got done talking about that. But you are absolutely correct. They're just openly blatant with it right now. Open about it. Yeah. So if you don't forget your trash bag as well as your subway pass when you try to get to work tomorrow, guys.
Or as Doug Masters in the YouTube chat says, NYC just needs to build back better. Yep.
Yeah.
Agreed. They just need to build back better. Whatever that means.
Nobody knows, but do it. Build back better. Okay. Speaking of better, let's talk about Getter. You heard about Getter?
Yeah. I have. People have been asking me if I'm on Getter, and I'm like, no, not yet.
So Getter, quick story about social media, alternative media sites here for you guys. Hold on. Sneeze is coming.
Ooh, bless you.
Maybe a follow-up? Nope, I think I'm good. Okay, anyway, Getter is a platform started by Stephen Miller, who was a former Trump advisor, and the idea here was to create a platform that offers free speech, doesn't ban people, anything like that. They just started about a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago. Anyway, they've been getting railed in the media, of course. They're going to be an enemy of the media because they emphasize free speech and free sharing of information. So every media company's nitpicking about every little thing that's wrong with the site. I don't have an account there. I don't do social media. I only have a burner Twitter account to consume stories for this show. But Getter is in the news because they are accusing Twitter of blocking users from importing their tweets to Getter, thereby violating Section 230 of the Communications Decency Act. So that's where they're at with this. And it kind of makes you wonder, was that kind of the point all along? At least that's what came into my head immediately when I saw this. So this new social media platform started by Trump's team. Trump's not on it, but it was started by Trump's team. And they're using that as a method to attack Twitter by saying, hey, you're not allowing access to your tweets, which is an open thing. You should be able to import tweets. And calling out their Section 230 abuse. Section 230, by the way, for those who may not be familiar, is the distinction of Twitter as a platform, not a, what's the other platform?
Not a media organization.
And not a publisher or something like that. Basically, they should not be able to dictate what users can and can't see on the platform. That would classify them as a publisher, which means they are then liable for content that is published on the platform. So they're trying to get at him. I don't know. Maybe this was all a ploy all along. Long game by Stephen Miller and the Trump team. Who knows? We'll keep an eye on it as that develops. The next story comes from California again. California. Let's jump into the COVID stuff. COVID. I know you guys love hearing about COVID. This is a fun one, not a boring one. Trust me.
Oh yeah.
Because
you're going to want to hear this, folks.
A lot of people were saying stuff like this, and this is basically a clone of a story that we already covered, but it's a reinforcement of the principle. Okay, that's why this is important. This is why we have to talk about this, despite the fact that it is basically the same exact story as the one we covered from Santa Clara County in California a couple weeks ago.
I was going to say the one we covered was Alameda. This one's Santa Clara.
Yes. Okay, yes, sorry. Yes. Reverse that. Fake news.
They're right by each other, so.
This is from Zero Hedge, one of my favorite sites. The COVID-19 death toll in Santa Clara, California, dropped by nearly a quarter instantly overnight after it, quote, refined its approach to reporting the data. That's right.
Wow. It's almost like they did the same method to get their numbers up. And then once the numbers came back fudged, they were like, okay, we're going to cut it back a little bit.
So here's the thing. Here's the timeline of this narrative. We start hearing about death counts, right? and guys like me are saying things like, I wonder how the criteria is created for that. I wonder what the algorithm is to determine that number. And we simply ask a question. We say,
Yep.
what is the algorithm? What is the criteria? How are you counting these numbers? Is it possible that people who simply have COVID when they die are being counted as COVID deaths? We're just asking questions. And then what happens to us when we ask questions like that? Oh, you're a conspiracy theorist, you're a denier, you're whatever it is you call whatever kind of stupid names.
You want grandma to die.
Oh, yeah.
Or we get called white supremacists too. Remember we've been called white supremacists too?
Oh, yeah. No, every name in the book. So, and then a story comes out from Alameda County where we are entirely vindicated 110% because they came out and say directly, oh, you know what, actually our COVID death counts are 25% less than we thought they were because we just refined the criteria for how we counted the COVID deaths. And at that point I was like, okay, all right, now I know this is happening, but this is maybe a one-off, maybe this is just a isolated incident.
Just a one county thing, we're not gonna cut the whole death count a quarter. We're gonna be like, this is just a one county thing. Now it's two counties.
Exactly. And when that came out, again, continuing with the timeline of my thought evolution on this whole thing, my exact wording was, I questioned again. I didn't make any statements. I just asked the question, how many times do you think this is happening across the country that has hundreds of different health systems in hundreds of different counties in 50 different states that all have their own criteria for counting this? How many of them do you think have the same exact criteria that would produce a consistent number of deaths across the nation? That was the only question I asked because, eventually the information's going to come out. And now we've got Santa Clara saying, 22% drop in our COVID deaths overnight, instantly, because we just changed our criteria for determining what the cause of death was. And what was a modification that they made? Well, let's continue on with this article from Zero Hedge. After a review of each COVID-19 fatality and eliminating deaths not directly caused by the virus, including those who tested positive at the time of death but did not necessarily die from the disease, bingo.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Official COVID-19 deaths dropped from 2,200 to 1696. Quote, it is, and this is a UC San Francisco professor of medicine and infectious disease expert, Dr. Monica Gandhi, saying this. Quote, it is important to go back and do this accounting to see if COVID was actually the cause of death. You think? Quote, I think that transparent communication is an upside. I mean, in the sense that it is true that if we did this across the nation, it would bring our death rate lower. A downside of that could be that the people will say, well, it wasn't as serious as you said. Why would that be a downside? Why would the truth be a downside? She kind of let it slip a little bit there. A little bit of slip.
Because otherwise, if people actually knew the truth, they wouldn't have surrendered their power and control to the government to allow them to shut down businesses, shut down schools, shut down everything for the sake of, the greater good, quote unquote.
And they wouldn't be open and willing and excited to take the Delta booster, which we're going to be talking about next. So that's a major red flag right there. A downside of that, a downside of giving you the real numbers, is that people could say, well, it wasn't as serious. Yeah, because it wasn't. The refined approach in Santa Clara comes as county officials try to figure out the true impact of the virus on the community. Wait, were they not interested in the true impact previously? No, only now we're interested in the true impact?
Yeah, only now we care about, people lying and, trying to get bleed money from the government and, rip families apart over this whole thing. Yeah, that's now they freaking care.
See, now I have to laugh at guys who said that, no, there was no incentive for the hospitals to count higher COVID cases in their treatment. Well, I advise you to look up the CARES Act, the COVID Relief Act, because that's exactly what that did. It incentivized hospital systems to claim more COVID cases so that they get more money from the government. These are hospitals, mind you, that are in deep financial trouble because they are suffering lack of foot traffic, lack of services offered, decreased staffing, decreased revenue across the board. It doesn't take a genius. You just have to understand incentives to know that there would be more COVID cases claimed than there actually were. And this is a question that's probably never going to be answered, but I'm going to ask it and put it out into the universe. What's going to happen when all these Santa Clara hospital systems told the government that they had 22% higher COVID cases or COVID deaths than they actually did? Are they going to have to refund the money that they got for the CARES Act? Are they not going to get as much money for the CARES Act? That's what I want to know. Like, where's this scheme coming to an end?
I hope the government steps in and is like, write us a check, give us our money back because you lied. You freaking lied. Like, you made us believe that people were dying in astronomical numbers in your county, and you lied to get more money out of us. Please write us a check right now. If the government was smart, that's what they would do. But, the IRS just all like the government entities that are responsible for all this, they're a bunch of wimps. They're not going to ask for that money back. That money was given. That money helped fund the leader of these hospitals. They all probably got Mercedes Benzes and nice houses from all of this.
That's how everything rolls in California, especially with government programs. It's all a scheme to just distribute money to the people who already have a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to pay much attention to figure that out.
Yeah, in Santa Clara, for people who don't know about California, Santa Clara County is where a lot of really wealthy people live, or surrounding counties around Santa Clara are all really wealthy. It's not like one of the poorest areas in California. That's where a lot of really, really wealthy people live.
Mm-hmm. Yep, and just another day.
It's right across the bay from San Francisco and Stanford and all of these entities where these really amazing doctors come out of. It's right across the bay, so it's not like they're hard up for resources either.
Just another day in Scamland, California. Corey says, been hearing a lot of this Delta 8. Yes, well, we have, I guess, two Delta stories to talk about for you today. The first one is directly related to COVID, because the Delta variant is going around, which they said was going to be covered by the vaccine. Well, backtrack on that.
It's not.
Backtrack on that. But also, we have a split in the narrative here now. We've got the CDC and the FDA coming out against the Delta booster that Pfizer wants to push. So the big pharma is now disaligned with the CDC and the FDA, and this is very interesting. It's going to lead to some interesting outcomes. I don't know how this is going to go, but the CDC and the FDA released a statement saying that the United States is fortunate to have highly effective vaccines that are widely available for those aged 12 and up. People who are fully vaccinated are protected from severe disease and death, including from the variants currently circulating in the country, such as Delta. So CDC and FDA says you are protected by the Delta variant with this current vaccine. Protected from the Delta variant. Sorry, people who are not vaccinated remain at risk. Of course, you got to take a dig at the unvaccinated people. Why not? While we're talking about it, since we're talking about vaccines, let's just take a dig at the unvaccinated. They say virtually all COVID-19 hospitalizations and deaths are among those who are unvaccinated. Okay, all right, we see what you're trying to do. We encourage Americans who have not yet been vaccinated to get vaccinated. Okay, yeah, all right. But the point is, Pfizer is coming out with a Delta booster shot. They want you to take a third shot.
Wow, no thank you.
Protect against the Delta variant. And it begs the question, am I going to have to go in for weekly tune-ups now every time a new variant comes out? What do we got? I heard there's some other variants floating around there now, but
Can I just take the Moderna, the Pfizer, and the Johnson & Johnson? And if I just take all three, can I just be protected from the Delta with all three?
Actually, they were encouraging you to mix and match. Last week I was going to cover a story where they were encouraging. It was like, hey, you know what? You should. It's totally cool if you want to mix and match. You want to take a Pfizer today and a Moderna tomorrow. Maybe mix in a half J&J just to give a little booster, but.
Get a nice little cocktail boost going. Do a little of this, a little of that, a little of this, and then just inject it in yourself. You might grow a third arm or an eyeball up here on your forehead, but it's okay. You'll be protected from COVID.
It's basically like a Long Island iced tea of vaccines because it's got a little bit of everything in there. and it'll probably make it a little fruity in the end. Let's go to Moneypenny in the chat. Of course, she is here just in time for us to talk about COVID stuff. We got one more Delta story to talk about, but it's not a Delta strain. Oh, it's a Delta strain of another type.
So hey guys, always entertaining to hear you guys talking about COVID. But yeah, a lot of it is highly implausible, inaccurate, unsubstantiated, or wrong. But the statistics being reported at the moment are saying that a lot of European countries, particularly Amsterdam, are seeing an 800% increase in cases. Because this thing spreads bloody fast, and if you're in the UK, you'll know what it's like, because one person in every 160 people in the UK is now carrying the Delta variant, which would be fine, but for the fact we've got a big football match, and we're all going to get pissed and get clammy up close together in a matter of hours, with no masks and no social distancing. Yeah, great idea.
I say so.
Oh, whoa, Doug said Long Island iced tea at the same time, and wow, that's crazy, dude. I don't think we're linked up. But yeah, so I'm wary of percentages, because when I hear 800%, we've already covered stories where they tried to scam us with percentages, like 50% increase from 2 to 3. Ooh, but okay, let's take a look at the numbers. I'd like to see what the increase really means. And here's the bottom line. The bottom line is about COVID, and I'm not going to have to say this again because it's pretty self-explanatory. If it was bad enough that you could see with your eyes, and people were dying around you, people were getting sick, and it was having an actual real effect, people would behave accordingly. But it's not. There's a disconnect between reality and the narrative. So despite the fact that 1 in 160 people has COVID, they're running around with it. I mean, what does that even really mean? 1 in 160 people are probably running around with the flu. They're probably running around with the super syphilis. They're probably running around with herpes. They're running around with AIDS. Probably more than 1 in 160 running around with AIDS. All kinds of diseases. So, these numbers, I hear the numbers, but honestly, they don't really mean much to me, because what's the end result of that? It's really 1 in 160 guys has an asymptomatic fever with a minor cough and like a sore throat for 3 days, which is literally the symptoms they listed for the Delta variant on Twitter. Like, guys, watch out, new Delta variant's coming out. The symptoms include sore throat. Oh no, I only get that 5 times a year. Not a big deal. So the numbers, if there's one thing you've learned with the pandemic, is that the numbers essentially are meaningless, and that is a good coat end of the story that we just talked about, where the numbers literally changed overnight because they decided to change the criteria for how the deaths were counted. But as always, appreciate our UK correspondent Moneypenny chiming in.
Yep, and I'm running around with shingles, so you know what?
I've got that too.
I got shingles stored. Yeah, I'm running around with shingles stored in my body, and it could activate at any time.
That's just a variant of herpes too, by the way. People don't know that.
Yeah, it's a variant of the chickenpox. Like, if you've ever had the chickenpox in your life, you have shingles stored in your body. So everybody, if you've had chickenpox, you've got shingles. So you better stay away from people.
100% of the hosts of this stream have shingles. Oh my god. 2 people. That's 2 out of 2. God. 2 out of 2. But 100% makes it sound scary, right? So.
Right, exactly. Yeah, let's pump up the numbers and make it sound scary, so that way people won't go outside and enjoy life.
Every election year, there's going to be a new virus, says King Xenomorph. Well,
hell yeah.
Probably. Or at least there'll be a new variant. They could play out the variants thing until the end of eternity. That's why this is so great. Oh, guys, we got the Iota variant. Oh no. Okay. Well, speaking of other variants, the Delta variant, there's another story going around regarding, and I don't have an article for this, but I want to talk about it because I'm here in Texas, and I've seen it in person. Delta 8. Do you know what Delta 8 is, Delaney? I'm curious.
Nope.
Okay, nope. Well, if you're my local degenerate hookup, so I figured if anyone would know about it, it'd be you. But Delta 8 is in reference to a THC. Delta 9 THC is the standard THC that you find in marijuana, but there's been a modification, a scientific advancement in the world of getting high, and that involves just a slight shift in the way that one of the molecules attaches to the other molecules. So it's a Delta 8 instead of a Delta 9. And because of that, that's all you need to skirt the laws around the THC and marijuana laws. So right now, in places like Texas and I think 44 other states, this thing called Delta 8 THC is legal. You can go right now and buy the Delta 8 THC from gas stations, from everywhere. It's literally everywhere around here. You see signs for it. We sell Delta 8 over here. Because they are circumventing the laws. It's providing basically the same effect. It's basically the same exact thing, just slightly less potent. But the principle is, and anytime I get a chance to take a dig at the drug war, I'm going to go ahead and take it. How stupid is it when you can literally just modify one molecule on something? It has basically the same exact effect, but then it's legal.
Yeah, well, no wonder I don't know what this Delta 8 thing is, because
Well, you don't need to.
I don't.
Because you got the real stuff in California.
Yeah, I got the real stuff in California, and honestly, I don't really smoke weed that much anymore. Only like when I go to family and friends' house, I maybe take a little toke here and there, but it's like
Later, Xenomorph.
once in a while thing for me. It's not like an everyday thing like it used to be.
And it's getting to the point to where we really, if you get thrown in jail for this, you got to be really pretty upset for stuff like that. It's pretty stupid. Half the country's already legalized it. Let's stop playing games with the Delta 8 and playing with extracts and chemical compositions that are going to leave residues. They're going to hurt people.
Right.
Let's just make it easy to do it. I mean, come on.
Honestly, that kind of stuff where they take a molecule out or do this and do that, like genetic modification of something that's really natural in its purest form, that kind of stuff worries me a little bit. I'm worried that modification is gonna, turn us into zombies or something.
Well, yeah, that's the problem, is that because people try to circumvent the legal restrictions, they go through unregulated processes where they may be doing, chemical extractions with chemical stuff that it could cause harm to the end user eventually. And, if you were just to open it up and let these guys do it the right way, there'd be competition where those companies that are doing the shoddy work would get squeezed out of the market. But we don't have that. We don't have a free market here in America. And I know some people who are anti-drug are going to be like, "Oh, why are you advocating for drug use and all this kind of stuff?" Well, guess what? They're going to do it either way. And if you open it up, at least you can get some tax revenue from it. And I'm all for letting people learn the hard way. If their lives are going to be destroyed by drugs, let it. Go ahead.
Yep.
Do it.
I agree. If you want to pickle your brain with illegal substances or illegal, go ahead. People pickle their brain every day with alcohol. So what's the difference between pickling your brain with alcohol and cigarettes and pickling your brain with other things? Let them. If people want to, let them. I don't care. At this point in our society, we've gone so far down that it's like we've been saying on this channel for the last year or so. People are going to fall through the cracks. Let them. It's not our job to save everybody and fix everybody and get everybody to see the world the way that we do. That's up to them to figure it out for themselves. And if they want to, do harm to themselves, knowing full well that this is not good for you, then let them make that choice. It's a hard fall, but you know what? Somebody's got to do it. Not going to be me though.
Well said. No, if you're in favor of drug laws, by principle you're in favor of more control, bigger government, because that applies more rules to the government than it should have, which is regulating what you put into your body. Not the government's job. So right there, if you're any kind of anti-government person, we should agree. It's not the government's job to be telling you what you can and can't put in your body. Boom, done. Any morality about doing drugs aside, that's a principle that we can all agree on. But if you want to go further than that, if people who want to regulate, what you can consume, you're kind of saying that I know better than you. I know what you can and can't do with your own body. I know what you should and shouldn't do. And no, you don't. You actually don't. Nobody really does. It's everyone's
I actually saw a heartbreaking video the other day. There's this Instagram account that I follow. It's called Street Peoples of Los Angeles, and it's
I love that.
All they do is you probably heard of them, but I saw a video that somebody sent them of this lady who was on Venice Beach, and she was selling CBD tablets and CBD products on Venice Beach. And Venice Beach, if you don't know, if you're not from California, is littered with homeless people that are
completely overtaken.
completely overtaken by homeless people that are like just pickling their brains with heroin, meth, you know, whatever they can get their hands on. And here's this sweet lady selling CBD, which will probably help a lot of people get out of their drug habits. And what happens? This lady sets
She
up a
gets
tent
arrested?
with CBD. No, these thugs, these people who are the drug dealers that are feeding the fiends that live on Venice Beach, come and harass her and destroy her little tent that she set up. Because she's selling stuff that goes against what they're selling, and they don't want her there, and they go and harass her and harangue her and assault her and destroy her product.
Well, that's the other angle that on the drug thing.
Competition.
Exactly. That's the other angle that nobody wants to talk about with the drug stuff. If you legalize the drugs, well, guess who's going to lose a bunch of money? The drug gangs, the cartels who are trafficking this stuff. But again, you know, people get too hung up on the morality of you shouldn't do drugs to think about the actual real world implications of why and why it doesn't work. Drug control, that is. So, let's see. OSA says they'll start banning molecular structures, which is kind of scary, but also probably true. And we've already seen, you know, they're patenting molecular structures, patenting organic compounds, organic molecules, things like that. Is it really out of reach for them to be doing that? I don't think so. Joe Biden will deploy Delta Force to exterminate the Delta 8 variant. Yes, exactly. I think the Delta 8 vape is made in China. Yeah, I wouldn't do anything I wouldn't put anything into my body like that that's made in China, because who knows what kind of... No regulations. Osa says the only reason I'm anti-drug is because druggies will do anything to score their next hit. Well, is that a drug problem or is that a people problem?
Yeah. And I mean, if everybody arms themselves and protects themselves, then again, that's another layer of getting rid of like the bottom feeders that won't be able to really survive in society. So
Yes, I like the way you think. That's great. Yes, more natural selection. We need to introduce more harshness, more natural selection into our society, into our policies.
I mean, if you know, we could afford, if a druggie could afford to go to rehab and actually like want to not be a druggie, fine, like cool. I 100% support that. But I'm sorry, but like at this stage in our civilization, there's gonna be people who just will not make it, and we have to accept that. It's not my job. It's not your job, Jeremy. It's not any one of ours job, unless it's like my immediate family. If it's my immediate family, then yes, it is my undertaking to try to help them. But sorry, if I don't have any blood or marriage relation to you, then I don't give a crap. I really don't.
The other funny thing is that people get so upset about legalizing marijuana and stuff like that. Meanwhile, Big Pharma, as somebody mentioned in the chat, King Xenomorph, he says that, Big Pharma is in the background while you're all arguing over whether you should legalize marijuana or not, killing tens of thousands of people every year with their opioids, and opiates, and nobody wants to talk about that. But just saying. All right, let's go to we got Lauren in stereo.
Bob the Builder, he can do it. Yeah.
All right, thank you for that.
All right.
Insightful
Thanks
comment.
for that random laugh. Appreciate you.
Money Penny had a follow up here, probably about COVID stuff.
Hey guys, you both got shingles.
Yes.
Yeah, shingles is one of 4 herpes viruses. One of them is a genital herpes, so I hope you're not that close. But yeah, one of the things I will mention about shingles, as you rightly say, it is a reactivation of the herpes virus as kids that produces chickenpox. But it is rife across the UK because people with COVID, and we know COVID reactivates all the dormant viruses in your system. So have you two had COVID? Because that would explain it. All it's done is COVID goes in, finds all those sleepy latent viruses, wakes them up, and hey presto, bang, you get all the stuff back that you enjoyed when you were 5 years old. Apart from chickenpox, which gives you shingles, which is horrid.
Wow.
Yeah, I had a shingles reactivation, a few years ago. It sucked. I have a scar over my left eyebrow, and that's from a shingles reactivation. So I would not want it to reactivate again, but that's just kind of the way life goes, unfortunately, that's what my doctor explained to me when it did reactivate. She was like, yeah, it just kind of happens. Normally it happens when you're old, but sometimes it can happen when you're young, depending on stress, your diet, those kinds of things. So, are you stressed? I was like, well, yes. It
Everybody,
was like around the holidays, so I was really stressed out.
yeah, and I haven't had it in a long time, but everybody that's had chickenpox has shingles in them. It just hasn't popped up yet, and generally it doesn't pop up when you're young like us. So it's
Yeah.
a little strange. So that's all.
That's what my doctor said. She was like, yeah, it normally doesn't pop up when in young folks like you, but if you're stressed, you have a bad diet, XYZ, there's all kinds of things that can reactivate it. But she's like, you'll be fine. It sucks. She's like, I know it's probably painful, and it was very, very painful, especially since it was on the top of my head. It felt like somebody was pulling my hair and burning my scalp at the same time. It was awful.
Oh yeah, no, it's great. Captain Morton, welcome to the chat. New name, haven't seen you around. He says psychedelics are a somewhat distinct class of drugs, and addictions really are things. A lot of drugs don't want you to be not a druggie. Okay, yeah. No, psychedelics definitely different. Yeah, psychedelics not really something you can get addicted to, I would say. You can maybe get psychological dependence on it, but it's not. They don't have addictive properties where they're triggering like the dopamine receptors. I think
Yeah, you don't see people fiending
I'm not
for
an
like
expert.
shrooms and LSDs and all
Exactly.
that stuff. You see people fiending for heroin and opiates, though.
Exactly. Now, with that said, thank you, Corey, for bringing up the Delta 8 and letting us talk about that. Before we jump into the next topic, before we do, we're at 808. 808, which, for those of you who do music stuff, has this particular reference and relevance. Give us a like, comment, all that good stuff on the videos. If you're enjoying the content, we do this every Tuesday and Saturday at 7 p.m. PST, right here on stereo and YouTube. Usually do about 2 hours. We talk about current events from an alt-centrist, objectivist viewpoints, and we're not trying to fight for the left or the right. We're just trying to interpret reality as it actually is, as the best that we can anyway. Not claiming to be gods or
Yeah.
anything like that.
Yeah, as best as we can with the information that we're allowed to have, and on this side of the pond, because we have people that listen from the UK and in Australia and all different parts of the world. So we just try to do our best from like our side of the pond and our side of the world. Do our best to just try to like give you what is in the news and what is relevant to talk about.
Now, one thing that I am a little more than just a passive observer of, I had a hard time getting the words out there, is cybersecurity. I am an expert, even though the term expert
Yes, he
is
is.
useless. I say that with tongue in cheek. I am an expert in cybersecurity, and as you can see from the title of the stream today, guys, that is our main topic of the night. Let's get into the juicy cyber stuff that's been going on. I want to share a couple stories that have been going around that you probably haven't heard of, but you need to hear of because you need to know what's going on in this ecosystem. And I think you'll see the big picture come together by the time that we're done talking about this. You'll see the big picture. Let's go fly over to Iran.
Welcome to Iran.
That is not what I wanted to do. Sorry about that. OBS. I just flipped over to the intro video real quick for a second there. So you guys got a little Pacific Rim theme song for a second. From Radio Free Europe, Iran says transportation ministry hit by cyber attack. Now, for those of you who don't know,
Ruh-roh.
Iran is considered to be one of the major top 5 cyber participants in the world. Okay, you've got North Korea, China, America, Iran. Iran is actually very technologically advanced. They have a team of hackers, state-sponsored and otherwise, that hit a lot of industries and personal people. So this isn't, a small thing to say, oh, you think Iran, they don't have any computers, they live in the desert, they don't even have electricity. No.
Nope.
Exact opposite. These people are very advanced. They have a sophisticated cybersecurity program. But Iran's transportation ministry said that its computer systems and website were affected by a cyber attack today. The alleged attack took down the ministry's website and links associated with it. They reported in a statement. The disruption began before noon. The sites were still down 5 hours later. It was the second cyber attack to hit the ministry's computer systems in 2 days. Iran's rail system reportedly came under cyber attack on July 9th with a system designed to track trains failing and hackers posting false messages on display boards across the country claiming trains had been delayed or canceled. kind of interesting. So they hacked into the system that tracks the trains, and then they claimed that all the trains were delayed or canceled. So they shut down the transportation infrastructure of Iran. Should raise an eyebrow or two.
Interesting.
The country's still.
Yeah, like who's doing? I
ahead.
wonder who's doing it.
That's the question. That's the $1 million question right there. The telecommunications minister warned on July 10th about possible cyber attacks through ransomware. Iran has been targeted by numerous cyber attacks in recent years, including an attack on government infrastructure in 2019, and previously by state-sponsored attack from the United States and Israel on their uranium centrifuges. So this is interesting because if you were, from a cybersecurity standpoint, if you were going to test out an attack and you wanted to maybe target transportation, for example, you would test it out on somebody who's big enough to where they'll have some protections in place you want to try to bypass, but not small enough that it's too easy, and somebody that fits that bill perfectly, and that wouldn't have great international consequences if you actually did something bad. That's also a big aspect of it. Who would you attack? Well, maybe Iran. It could have been a test run. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm trying to tell you guys. I think this looks like a test run, because what you don't understand if you don't work in the industry is that a lot of these systems run off the same types of software. So Iran's transportation system very likely could possibly use a lot of the same technology at the core level that America does. I don't know. What do you think, Delaney?
I kind of just wonder where it's coming from. If it's Russia, if it's China, if it's the U.S., if it's who would be behind trying to take down the transportation infrastructure for Iran? Like who done it? You know, kind of thing.
And there's no information about ransom or any kind of money being asked for, anything like that. So it's hard to get any clues beyond the technical artifacts that are left behind from an attack like this. So
the ransomware attack that happened on our colonial pipeline, that was from Russia, correct? If I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
They say it's from like a Russian, just a small little group of hackers. So maybe Russia is doing this again to Iran, because I know that Russia and Iran have like a little bit of a history. So maybe it's them, or Osis in YouTube chat says it was either us or Israel. It might have been Israel. Like, I don't know, but it just seems kind of advantageous for maybe I'm thinking more Russia than Israel personally.
Here's another angle on it that people won't really understand if you don't know anything about cybersecurity, is that this could have been entirely 100% unintentional. So the way that malware works is just floating around out there, it's looking for open ports, looking for open systems. It could have just found something that was open on their network and got in, and that's it. It didn't have to be anybody in particular saying, I want to target that Iranian transportation system. It's just going to happen. It's just a natural passive infection that happened on this thing. So that's also entirely possible, as Joe Rogan would say. But we don't have enough information. I just wanted to show you guys that is happening right now. Transportation systems are being hacked in major technologically advanced countries, because I've told you multiple times in the past that, we're on the cusp of something major happening here.
Yeah, I mean, we've already seen some really major things be hacked here in America, so it doesn't surprise me that something as important as the transportation system in Iran has been hacked. Or, it might have been accidental, quote unquote, or just negligence on their part for letting themselves be open to an attack. So we'll just have to wait and see.
Yeah, somebody says in chat, I'm skeptical of these cyber hack attacks. I wouldn't put it past governments to leak or work alongside with foreign private actors to put these types of actions in motion or on purpose. Yes. So perhaps
they might have done it so that way they can get uranium, so they can build nuclear bombs to protect themselves from the foreign bodies trying to hack them. Ooh, conspiracy.
Well, that's the best part, and I've said this multiple times in the past, long ago, ages past, that the greatest thing about a cyber false flag, which is the battlefield right now, it's cyber, So the greatest thing about cyber false flags is you don't know, you don't have to prove they even happened. You just say, I got hacked by China, and that's it. Because first of all,
China.
I mean, look at what happened with Hillary Clinton and the email servers. She got hacked. How much information did you, Delaney, as an average general population consumer, citizen, see? Technical information. How much did you see regarding that hack?
I mean, not very much, not gonna lie.
I mean, how much technical information that you would consider proof that Russia did it? How much did you see? Or how much were
Zero.
you shown? Zero.
Zero.
Yeah, now this is what's great about cyber as the new battlefield, because how much information would you see if missiles were launched and airfields were destroyed or buildings were destroyed on the news, for example, in the Iraq or Afghanistan wars? You would be able to see with your eyes the evidence that something is happening over there. Bombs are exploding, stuff's blowing up. You know, your friends are getting deployed, jets are flying out. You can see it happening. It's physical. There's no denying that. I just watched a missile destroy that building. There must be a war. Cyber attacks? Who cares, dude? Hillary Clinton, I got hacked by Russia. Here's my server. Give it to some private firm that does the investigation, and they never release any information on it. As far as everyone else is concerned, Russia still did that, but did they really? That's what's great about cyber, because there will be false flags that you will never know are false flags. So just keep that in mind.
I think with the whole Hillary situation, I remember you talked in the past about how a lot of people, when they get hacked, they'll say they got hacked, but what really happened is that they gave their password to some crappy person that just leaked their information. That's kind of what I believe happened with Hillary, is like she had a staffer or whatever, had her password for all of her emails, and they just leaked it themselves.
It was Podesta. Podesta leaked his password. I think his password
Yep,
was
and
password.
Podesta. Yeah, I think his password was password 1, exclamation point, and then thought that was enough security for himself.
What's up, Sock and Horse? Mitch Connor. What's up? Yeah, this a little bit of lag. I saw on the stream status that it was. I got a notification of a little buffering, but you know what? You know how we do it. We just plow through.
Yep.
Now, I want.
Susan ain't gonna stop us.
Nope, not a chance. To illustrate the point, we're going to go to another quick story from Ireland. This is one that I didn't even hear about until earlier today. Apparently, a health system in Ireland was the victim of a ransomware attack. And this, as you can see from the title of this article here from scmagazine.com, the cost from ransomware attack against Ireland health system reaches $600 million. Now, I'm not sure if you're familiar with geography, but Ireland is a very small country. So one health system getting hit for $600 million worth of damage is significant, to say the least. The Ireland Health Service executive is continuing to operate under electronic health record downtime procedures and experiencing continued care disruptions after suffering a ransomware attack more than 6 weeks ago. Care disruptions. Do you know what that means in reference to a healthcare system? It means you cannot get your surgery. You can't get your CAT scan. You can't get your infusion you can't do your dialysis. That's what that means.
Yeah, you can't even access your patient's information probably.
That's exactly what EHR downtime means, is they have no electronic health record access. So you're instantly back into the Stone Age of having thousands of manila folders in your filing cabinets.
Old school way.
Yeah, no, that's where they are right now. So this is real world consequences when people say, well, cyber, it's just out there, it's digital, it's not going to affect me. You cannot get your medical procedures anymore.
Well, with the way that the world is going, where everything is on a computer, on a tablet, on a phone, on some kind of digital device. No, this is a real life thing. Like maybe 30 years ago, before we had small computers to be able to do what we need them to do. Yes, like this whole idea of, digital battlefields was like, ha ha ha, you're silly. That's so stupid. But now it's like, no, we have tablets, we have phones, we have all these different devices that like give us so much accessibility. But then if something like this happens, it just cuts our accessibility off at our hands.
Well, imagine you're going in for your last cancer treatment, or you're getting a tumor removed that you were waiting for months and maybe even years to do, or a liver transplant, or whatever it may have been. And then guess what? You found out, well, the hospital calls you and says, we can't do that surgery anymore because our systems are down. So people are suffering, not just the hospital. Real people are suffering because of this stuff.
Yep.
The $600 million cost estimate includes $120 million in current ongoing recovery needs, such as hiring outside technical leaders to support recovery efforts. The remaining cost estimates will cover the replacement and upgrade of the systems crippled by ransomware, as well as payments to outside cybersecurity support. Further, HSE intends to implement a security operations center able to better monitor the network for potential threats. So it doesn't sound like they had a SOC previously, which is what a security operations center is. They, I mean, I keep telling you, if you're incompetent in any area, the most obvious area that it's going to show is going to be cybersecurity. And if you don't have a SOC in your organization, you're going to get hit for millions and millions of dollars. This is just an example of that. So I just wanted to show you guys and let you know that's actually happening. So it's not just, America, it's not just China. There's stuff going on all around the world with cyber. And our dear, dear friend, Klaus Schwab. You guys love Klaus, right? I know you guys love Klaus. The Great Reset guy.
I don't even know who that is, but I love him.
He's the Great Reset guy, the Great Reset. He says, COVID, we need to do... Every time you hear the word Great Reset, it's from this guy. Now he's taking a new angle on the Great Reset, and in reference to cybersecurity, because he's seeing stuff like this happening, and he's recognizing an opportunity to implement his one system centralized identity. But let's just hear it directly from Klaus. Klaus, what do you want to do to protect us all from these cybersecurity threats?
Masks are not sufficient. We need vaccines to
internet.
immunize ourselves. The same is true for cyber attacks. Here too, we have to move from simple protection to immunization. We need to build IT infrastructures that have digital antibodies built in inherently to protect themselves.
We need to build digital systems that have inherent antibodies built in to protect themselves. So it's very vague. I mean, even I didn't know what that meant, so I had to watch the full Klaus Schwab clip for that conference that he gave. That's what that's from. It's from a conference, and I tried to deconfuse myself from this. Basically, what he says is that we need to work together with a global effort, global, keyword global, and have partnerships between corporate and governments to facilitate, just generic kind of efforts towards this. But if you look into it a little bit deeper, that's the first layer. If you go one layer deeper, you'll find this. Now, this is the vision of the One World ID. Okay, we talked about this previously with the COVID and the vaccination passport. This is another angle on the vaccine passport. The vaccine passport failed. Okay, as far as we can tell at this point in time, the vaccine passport kind of lost steam, right? We talked about it for a while. Some people were going to implement it. States started to ban it. It went out of style. But fortunately, Klaus has recognized a new opportunity to re-implement the same exact thing as the vaccine passport, just from a different angle. I mean, look at this chart that I'm showing you on the screen right now. There's a lot of different angles you could take on this, okay? Because the point is to get to the center of the ring and centralize everything, as of course, as alt-centrists, we are advocate for decentralization. So, by our principles, we're not really big fans of this, but you don't have to be an alt-centrist to realize the implications of a centralized identity system at the core of the cyber infrastructure that old Klaus is talking about. Because guess what? Klaus isn't talking about installing better antivirus on your computer. He's talking about giving you one centralized digital encrypted ID that links you to all of your financial services, all of your healthcare, access to cities, telecommunications, government, voting systems, social platforms, e-commerce, traveling and mobility, and this is directly from the image, guys. I'm not making this up. So let's take a look at some of these things and see where your new centralized ID, if they get this implemented in effort to protect against cyber attacks, which is going to be a strong push now because these cyber attacks aren't going to stop. Let's look at some of these, and maybe you can tell me which one you're most worried about. So to open bank accounts and carry out online financial transactions. Okay, immediately I'm pooping my pants.
Yeah,
here.
automatically I'm like, okay, well, that's great. I won't have access to my own money if I say the wrong thing.
Yes, exactly, because directly across from the financial services, you'll see social platforms. So for social interactions and to access third-party services that rely on social media logins, you'll use the same ID. So is it a good idea to have your social media platforms linked to your financial services and your ability to carry out financial transactions? It says right there on the page, carry out financial transactions. I would say no. Especially if you're, anything left of Stalin, you probably going to be considered a fascist and have your stuff removed access-wise.
I mean, what if you're not on social media at all? Does that mean you don't get any financial services at all? It's like, oh, if you don't have a Twitter, you don't get to bank with Bank of America. Like, that's stupid.
That's a good point.
That is that's the dumbest thing ever.
If you don't have social media, then we don't have an ability to give you a social credit score. So we don't know how to score you. You have to know how to score you to know how much financial access you'll have. You see where this is going?
This is like an episode of Black Mirror right now.
Exactly. That's exactly what this is. So travel and mobility, to book trips to go through borders between countries or regions. Okay, cool. Totally, yeah.
Yeah, I've seen this circle several different times, but just in various forms, and I don't like it. Get rid of this stupid circle, please. Somebody just delete it.
This one's interesting. Smart cities to monitor devices and sensors transmitting data such as energy usage, air quality, traffic congestion. Okay, so I can't use my air conditioner.
Can't use your air conditioner if you say the wrong thing, or if you don't have social media, you don't get access to air conditioning.
If I call gay people mentally ill, then I lose my AC privileges for a day or something like that.
Mm-hmm. You won't be able to, and then in the wintertime when it's freezing outside, you're not going to be able to run your heater either.
And telecommunications for users to own and use devices. For service providers to monitor devices and data on the network. Ooh, okay, yeah, because now this is the angle that Klaus will take. This is a cybersecurity angle to this centralization of identity. Your centralized digital ID will be encrypted. So the only people that can read it are the telecommunications company and you, for example. So that's how he's going to spin it to say this is how we make it more secure for our global digital environment. That's what he's going to tell you.
Why would I want some purple-haired bull, septum ring lesbian, or gender fluid person being the moderator of my everything? Like, that just doesn't make sense.
That's basically what this would do, is it would make the Twitter admins over your entire life. And this is the best one. E-government for citizens to access and use services, file taxes, vote, or collect benefits. But I thought voter ID was racist. Apparently
voter ID is racist. Only if it's, for black and brown people, then it's racist. Yeah. But everybody else, voter ID is fine. We want voter ID for all the white supremacists out there.
Black people don't know how to get to the DMV. They don't know how to get IDs.
And
rural communities, according to Kamala Harris just today, I believe, rural communities don't have access to copying machines, so they can't make photocopies of their ID. According to her.
You're freaking kidding me.
Yeah, no.
What?
She said that rural communities don't have access to copying machines.
Oh my God! Is there not a UPS store that you can go to? Because they make it so easy. You can email them and print it from their computers.
She said specifically, there's not a Kinko's in their neighborhood they could go to. So that was the argument.
Wow.
That's the argument that they make against.
But it's not
ID.
racist. It's not racist because a black, quote unquote, black woman is saying it, so it's not racist.
Exactly. No. Oh, what's up? Tara's in the house. It's been a while, Tara. Welcome. Yes,
What's up, Tara?
You are still a mod. She's one of the old school mods from the first round of streaming. Welcome back. Good to see you. His voice hides his message. He can't understand a damn thing. Yes. He's kind of like he's got a vampire kind of vibe, you know.
Hello, my name is Klaus Schwab.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Klaus might be Greta Thunberg's grandpa. Maybe.
Yeah, I was gonna say with a name like Klaus, you know, Klaus is, you know, super, super German and super, super, you know, possibly Nazi-esque. So we don't want to trust a man named Klaus.
No, yeah, that's a good point. I wonder why no one's calling him a Nazi. Cyber Polygon is the name of the event that he was speaking at. Yeah, Phil C. It's some kind of cyber event. I didn't look into it much, but I had to listen to his whole 20-minute speech to figure out what was going on with what he was saying. Let's see. Don't worry, it wouldn't be a purple-haired loon controlling your data. The communists will line them all up and do away with them as soon as their use has been fulfilled. Well, yeah, they're probably going to be the first in the firing line, so...
No, they're going to be the ones to
AI
suicide
will
themselves when the
monitor it.
communists take over.
Well, suicide or firing line, they're going to be gone either way. But probably the AI will be taken over at that point, I think.
Yeah, that's true. We're gonna offshore it to the AI and to the supercomputers that can handle it better than the human beings.
It's really already taken over, let's be honest. It's just not as blatant as you would think. Now, you might think to yourself, oh, Jeremy, there's no way. The banks are going to be restricting access, like, to my money? Like, I can't spend my money? Well, coincidentally, I've got a story for you from one of the biggest international banks in the world, Barclays. I'm sure UK fans know exactly what I'm talking about. US fans may not know what Barclays is, but it's a big international bank based out of London. It's getting some heat right now for blocking users' transactions to... Now, if you're a bank and you wanted to maintain your status as a centralized financial industry, what would you block financial transactions to? What kind of product would you block people from buying? Pop quiz.
Nowadays, probably like what's it called? You know, Bitcoin, Dogecoin, all those like digital currencies.
Right.
Yeah.
Bingo. You hit the nail right on the head. Good job. That's right. So we're going to Barclays on Twitter. Barclays is getting a lot of heat because they're blocking transactions to Binance, which is one of the biggest crypto exchanges in the world. I think probably the biggest for U.S. users. There's the thing with crypto exchanges is they vary based on where you're from, and Binance is one of the biggest. I use them every day for crypto stuff. You can buy, sell, exchange cryptocurrencies. It's like a stock exchange, but it's for crypto. So Barclays is taking the initiative to protect your money because it's their job. It's their job to protect your money, and you know it's their job to protect your money because they tell you 1,000 times on their Twitter. Whoever's running their HR account is just responding to everybody talking trash about Barclays by saying, "Hi there, it's our responsibility to help protect your money. With this in mind, we've taken the decision to stop payments made by credit/debit card to Binance until further notice to help keep your money safe." And this is one of the biggest banks.
It's my money though.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. It's kind of mind blowing that they think that they're helping you by preventing you from making your own personal decisions. And,
well, I mean, I get why they're trying to protect people's money because there have been people that have lost a lot of money to the cryptocurrency, but that is the chance you take going into cryptocurrency, you know, trading and all that stuff. So, are we really not going to allow people to make their own mistakes with their money and just block them from?
You're not smart enough to make your own risk decisions, okay? As we've seen from COVID, we know that people cannot do any risk calculations at all. So luckily, Barclays will send you a text if you have happened to accidentally made a payment to Binance in the last year. They were sending out text messages to their users saying, as you've made payments to Binance this year, we wanted to let you know that we're stopping payments made by this credit debit card to them until further notice. This is to help keep your money safe.
Wow.
And
it's like it's my money though. It's
Binance is not like some weird shoddy website that's run by dark web people. Binance is a legit exchange if not the most legit cryptocurrency exchange out there. It's not like they're trying to scam you or steal your money or anything like that. So, there might be something going on behind the scenes here that I don't know about. I did try to look into this a little bit, but it seems like at this point in time they are literally just blocking transactions to Binance because it happens to be one of the biggest cryptocurrency exchanges in the world, and obviously it represents a threat to a big centralized fiat currency financial institution like Barclays.
Well, it's just, I feel bad for people that have their money in Barclays right now, because I guess if you put your money into something that they don't support or they've been told to not support, then you're not allowed to spend your money. That's just silly to me. Like,
You know what it is?
let people spend their money how they want. If they make a mistake, let them. It's fine. Like, that's the thing about learning.
Barclays hasn't had the opportunity to make their own crypto coin yet. That's what it is. So they don't want you to spend money on other people's crypto. They want you to get that Barclays coin, because we've already seen, was it Chase Bank? I think it was JP Morgan. Last week we covered a story about JP Morgan making their own crypto coin, and I forgot what it was called, Onyx or something like that. But banks are getting into crypto. Okay, that should get your attention if you're interested in crypto stuff at all. Anyway, I know a lot of people here are. I am heavily in crypto. I trade actively and invest as well. Let's jump to stereo chat. We got 2 stereo chats here. One older one from Lucid, probably on an older topic, but you know what? We'll hit it anyway.
Yeah, you know what's interesting about being a centrist is that I don't really actually believe that there really is a left and a right. I don't.
Yes.
I think that there
Neither
is
do
the
we.
truth, and then there's like a whole shitload of lies that divide and confuse and factionize people. But in reality, we're all just humans that are trying to figure out what life and death is. And the only means by which we can do that is through the truth. And the only means by which we can act responsibly, politically, and individually is, through understanding reality. And, we do that through the scientific method, and that sort of gives us some sort of truth that we can try and depend on and work with. So, I consider myself a centrist too. I think we all technically are.
Yeah, well, that's why we made the tongue-in-cheek phrase alt-centrism, because the political spectrum is meaningless, and we're creating the alt-centrism word because we need a way to communicate with people who are still in the old paradigm on the left-right spectrum, but there is no spectrum. It's exactly as you said, man. It's just a tool used to play off of people's mental illnesses one way or the other and get them to have neurotic outbreaks at each other on a constant daily basis to be distractions.
Yeah, and when you talked about the scientific method and using the scientific method, that's dead, my friend. I hate to say it. Like, the thing's gone.
It
Like,
really is, actually.
we stopped using that a long time ago, unfortunately, or not a long time ago. More recent years we stopped using that, and it's all about emotions, it's all about feelings, and it's not really about facts and logic and deducing from trial and error what's right and what's wrong. It's just, it feels right, it feels wrong. It's not, it is right, it is wrong, it feels. It's all about feelings, and that's where Jeremy and I here, we have that's where we differ from most people, is we try to take feelings out of things and just observe it from the outside and try to just deduce what's right and what's wrong from an outsider's perspective.
Take the objective observer's standpoint, meaning if you were an alien that flew in from outer space and you were seeing this thing for the first time, what would you conclude from an objective standpoint based on, you don't have any indoctrination, you don't have the media narratives, just look at reality and interpret it. Let's see, I was going to say something, but I forgot what it was. So we'll jump to the next stereo chat.
This is just poking the bear.
Do it.
The real problem is when they start trying to make a cashless society, which I thought they were going to do with COVID. Don't spread the germs. Cash has, to exchange money, you have to touch it and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, you don't know.
But that's the real next step. Crypto is a problem for them, but actual physical money, that's their target, because then it's all just a number in your bank account, and they can control you, and your money is just an illusion at that point because it doesn't mean anything. It's just a number on a screen.
Yep.
So it's going to be interesting to see how that happens. And I'm not giving up my cash. I'll take all my money out of the bank and they can kiss my ass.
Hell yeah. Here. No, like, I love how, we talked about this whole push towards a cashless society. Then if we really were trying to go to a cashless society, then why did the Federal Reserve print a butt ton of money in recent years if we were trying to go cashless?
Maybe we're trying to do the Zimbabwe strategy where we just overinflate it so much that we just, the money's meaningless and then cashless.
Yeah. Or like Venezuela, where they just have so much money and they're so poor that they just eat their own money because the money just means nothing.
Yeah, I mean, there's probably some caloric content in those dollar bills. You never know.
They're made of cloth, not paper. They're fine. You'll be okay.
That's why I say you should have at least one eyebrow up, on the J.P. Morgan and other banks moving into cryptocurrencies, because it's already all fake anyway, but it's going to be even more fake with the cryptocurrency, fully digital stuff anyway. Let's see. Do we have more stereo chats? Nope, that's it. I think that's basically everything we wanted to cover today, guys. Shorter stream today. One thing that we are toying with is the possibility that we're going to a once a week stream, because it's summer. We're in summer mode, guys. Summer is slow news, and I'm thinking we'll do Tuesdays. I don't know, what do you think, Delaney? Tuesdays is good?
That sounds good to me. Plus, it's my birthday month, so I have like a whole month of just partying and having fun. So I gotta have Saturdays to just have fun and party for my birthday month.
You really are.
Yep, the whole month.
Man, okay, well, that's what I wanted to mention. You reminded me. I wanted to, thank white people, since it is White History Month. Still,
it is White History Month. Thanks, white people.
We have to acknowledge that every stream we do during White History Month, and that white people are the ones who created science. Going back to that previous chatter's comment, science as a process. Now we have science as a religion. So as you accurately said, Delaney, science is dead, but you know what? White people at least got it going for a while. We got the internet out of it. We got electricity. We got a bunch of cool stuff. We got satellites. We're going to Mars, maybe.
Yep.
No,
it's actually funny. The other night, one of my girlfriends took me out for to celebrate my birthday, and I was talking to an older gentleman in the bar. I've seen him in the bar, several bars around my area, and we're chatting, and I said, I told him, I was like, Happy White History Month, and he was like, what? I was like, yeah, dude, white people have created some of the greatest things in modern times, and he's like, oh my God, I'm so glad you said that, because there's so much crap going around about white people. I'm so glad to hear you say that. I was like, yeah, dude,
awesome.
Plus my mom is white. My mom is white, so how can I hate on, like, my own people? Like, half of me is white, so how can I hate on white people? Like, no way, no how. I could never.
That's awesome. Yeah, and you know what? That's exactly what the situation is. People want to hear that because they're so tired, especially in California and Sacramento. Man, if you say that, 99 times out of 100, you're going to get somebody who's like, oh, could you say that? You're a racist. That's what's going to happen. You got lucky somehow with that guy. I don't know what happened.
Yeah, it's racist to say Happy White History Month and say white people have invented some of the greatest things that have helped our society. But it's not racist to call white people colonizers or call anybody who disagrees with you a colonizer. It's not racist that way, but it's racist the other way. Yeah, don't get me started on this whole thing. It's so stupid. Just let's stop with this whole demonization of one like skin tone and just look at society as a whole and what we're doing. And sitting here demonizing one side or the other is just not getting us anywhere. It really isn't.
Yes,
like,
exactly.
Let's recognize and appreciate what people have done for us invention-wise throughout history. Like, let's just do that instead of just hate them because they are successful and have actually helped net benefited society and not brought a net negative to our society.
Well said. On that note, I want to point out a chat that came in from Tulpas. He says, good luck everyone upside down land. Spread awareness to the neighbors, get to know them, create parallel structures. Sound familiar? I wonder if this guy watches us before, because we always talk about creating parallel societies. And that is what our recommendation is as a solution. So keep that in mind as you guys go through the week. We'll be back on Tuesday. Thanks for watching. Enjoy the fight if it's not already over. I know Conor McGregor is going to be doing his thing. And, hopefully,
He's going to be doing his little dance thing that he does before every fight.
Exactly. Hopefully we can still catch that. All right, guys. Thanks for stopping by. See you on Tuesday.
All right. Bye now. Have a nice night.